If you've ever been called too nice or a people pleaser, listen closely. What everyone sees as your kindness might not be your true personality. It might be a hidden trauma response called fawning, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Fawning is the fourth trauma response alongside fight, flight, and freeze. But unlike those, it hides in plain sight. It looks like always saying yes when you want to say no. It looks like apologizing constantly, even when nothing is your fault. It looks like bending yourself into knots just to keep others happy. This survival pattern often starts in childhood. If you grew up in an environment where love felt conditional, or where saying no wasn't safe, your nervous system learned to protect you by keeping everyone else calm. So instead of fighting or fleeing, you smiled, you agreed, you made yourself smaller. It was never about being nice. It was about survival. But here's the truth. Fawning is not your personality. It's a learned response. And while it kept you safe then, it's hurting you now. As an adult, fawning leaves you emotionally exhausted. You lose touch with who you are. You stay in toxic relationships because saying no feels like a threat. And deep down, resentment builds because you're always giving but never receiving. The hidden cost is huge: burnout, emptiness, and feeling invisible in your own life. But here's the good news. Recovery is possible. And it doesn't start with tearing down everything at once. It starts with small acts of courage. Say one small no in a safe situation. Pause before you apologize for something that wasn't your fault. Remind yourself, your worth doesn't depend on keeping everyone else happy. Each of these little acts is a step toward healing. And most importantly, show yourself compassion. You weren't weak for fawning. You were surviving. Your nervous system was doing its best to protect you, but now you get to choose differently. Healing from fawning is about reclaiming your voice, your boundaries, and your authentic self. It's about moving from survival to freedom. And every time you honor your own needs, you're teaching your inner child that they finally matter. Now I know what you might be thinking. Didn't Jesus say to turn the other cheek? Yes, he did. And that doesn't mean he was a doormat. The next part of that verse, he says, "But whoever slaps you on the right cheek, you should spit in their face." Yikes. He was showing his followers how to set boundaries. Sometimes we have to get real nasty to protect ourselves. That's what he was saying. I also know many of you grew up hearing, "Don't be so sensitive, you need to toughen up." But here's what's really going on. You're not too sensitive. You're neurologically organized. Your body has legitimate reasons to feel threatened. And it's not your fault. It means you're wired for survival. And all of us are. Fawning is just one of those patterns. And most people don't even realize it's a pattern until it costs them their health, their happiness, their relationships. That's why it's so important to understand your trauma responses. When you know what they are, you can make a conscious choice not to pass them on. Trauma responses are supposed to be temporary, like a shock to the system that gets you out of danger. But for survivors, they become chronic, meaning they stay in the body long term. So as a survival strategy, they stop working. They actually do more harm than good. And this can lead to physical symptoms like pain, fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, depression, dissociation, PTSD, addiction, eating disorders, and a lot more. That's how much power our early experiences have over our lives. If you grew up in an unsafe environment, you did your best to adapt. You didn't cause this. None of us did. We were simply doing the best we could to survive. Now, I'm asking you to pause and reflect. Have you ever felt the need to always agree or make others happy? Did you grow up hearing, "Don't be so sensitive, you need to toughen up"? Has being nice left you burned out, empty, or resentful? These are signs of fawning, and if you relate to any of this, know that you're not alone. Most of us have experienced some degree of fawning, and it's okay. This video isn't about shame or blame. It's about understanding, healing, and growth. What matters most is that we learn to recognize these patterns in ourselves and others, so we can treat ourselves and each other with more compassion and understanding. So take a moment to appreciate your strength and resilience. You survived and you're still here. That in itself is an act of courage. Now let's continue the conversation. Share your thoughts and experiences below, and support others on their journey. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.